Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. How are you today? I am doing great, thank you. As you can see from my wonderful little decoration back here, it is still Christmas around my house. Christmas, for anybody that doesn't live in America, lasts until the end of January. So my little gnome back here, let's turn off the chat so you can see him good. Where's my chat? Where is it? There it is. So this is Grumble the Christmas gnome. He rides shotgun with me during the Christmas season. Amazing. So yeah, hi. How's it going? It's still Christmas for a few more days, and then over the next couple of weeks, I'll slowly put away all of the Christmas decorations, and I will stop using that. And Grumble will go back down to the basement where he lives 9 months out of the year. Because he's down there for 9 months because Christmas lasts through November, December, and January. So 3 months out of the year. It is Christmas time. I don't know if you're like that or anybody else has that issue. It happens every single year. Halloween ends. I give out the last chocolate bar to the children, and then I turn off the porch light and say, no more candy. Sorry, kids. We're all out. We ran out of candy. Here you go. I turn off the porch light. I turn off the Halloween decorations. And then I hear a rustling sound. And it's my old lady dragging all the Christmas decorations up out of the basement. So if you are like me, if that describes your life accurately as well, let me know. Hop into the chat. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. And you also probably have Christmas decorations still up right now. So anyway, what's going on in the news? As you can tell from the title, very exciting, very fun. What we're going to do today is look at some stories, look at some stuff. I'm going to have some political opinions about all of those things. And then we're going to watch J.D. Vance say some lies, like just straight up damn lies. And then we're going to read about Donald Trump and his lawlessness. And I mean that like literally. Lawlessness. There is no law anymore. Doesn't exist. You can write a whole bunch of shit in a book and call it the law. Lawyers will read it. Judges will try and stick to it, but it's fiction at this point. It is a fun idea that Donald Trump does not adhere to. I mean, you can tell people that it's good and right to share, but if they don't do it, what does it matter? So, that's what we're going to talk about on stream today. If you like to join in, hop in the chat, tell me what you think, tell what you're feeling. If you're on Twitch, the lovely Robot Lady, Robot, will read your text out loud. If you're in a YouTube chat, she won't. Sorry. I can't make it work. I'm not smart enough. I'm not clever enough. I'm not intelligent enough to make that robot work on YouTube. I've tried, and it fails. And then it wrecks, honestly. When I do try to make the robot work on YouTube, I put a ton of hours into it. I try and get the damn thing to work, and then it works for like 5 minutes, and then it fails, and then it breaks the Twitch robot. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it does. So I have pretty much given up until I see some sort of option that will fix it for me. So that is it. So that is what we're doing today. That's what we've got going on. Let's get going. Let's get started. Where to begin? Let's begin right here with another woman recording an ICE agent and him saying mean things to her. So let's look at that first.
Shame on you.
Listen. Have y'all not learned from the past couple of days? Have you not learned?
Learned what? What's our lesson here? What do you want us to learn?
Following federal agents.
Give me my phone.
So as you can see, she's recording him. He approaches her. He tells her that she needs to learn the lesson, and then he starts to grab her phone. I don't think that she's been assaulted or anything else other than the phone grabbing after that.
Shame on you.
Listen. Have y'all not learned from the past couple of days? Have you not learned?
Learned what? What's our lesson here? What do you want us to learn?
Following federal agents.
Give me my phone.
So let's look
Shame
at
on
his
you.
face here. What is it that this guy wants to teach you? What is it that this woman should have learned? He's saying, haven't you learned? Haven't you learned what? What is the lesson? What is the idea that this woman has not caught on to? I think I know what it is. This agent knows, but this
Have you not
protester does
learned
not.
your lesson? Oh, sorry, right, I forgot. I legally film you. You will illegally shoot me.
That is one of the lessons, but the important lesson, there's a bigger lesson I think that he is trying to impart onto you and onto us. It's that we are in a civil war. That man is on the opposite side from that woman filming him in a civil war. And if you think I'm exaggerating or making too much out of single incidents, think about what actions they have been taking lately. The storming into cities, recruiting people, arming them, equipping them with equipment, going into cities where they're not welcome. They're not wanted there. The local people are telling them to get the fuck out. The local people do not want them there. Remember what they did in Los Angeles? I know it was a couple of months ago. That's a million years, apparently. But they are not wanted there. The police are not welcoming them. They are doing these things outside of local law enforcement, away from local law enforcement. They are not welcoming. They're not working with the local law enforcement to get these things done. The local law enforcement does not want them there. ICE has been using war language, an invasion. Stephen Miller uses the word invasion on TV every day. Stephen Miller, the shadow president and Nazi, who directly controls ICE, uses the word invasion in public on TV every day. He spits hatred, lies, and bigotry on live television. What do you think he's telling them in private, behind closed doors? What is Stephen Miller telling to this guy where you can't hear them? Do you think it's more pleasant than the vile bigotry he spits on TV? I don't think it is. I think it's exactly what he says on TV, but with more slurs. That's my guess anyway. Stephen Miller feels like he is at war, and he has made the ICE agents feel it too. This man that you just saw is at war. They use federally paid for weapons, deploy their troops to where the action is. They're actively recruiting. They go on missions away from their homes into the enemy war zones, into the enemy zones. They probably receive hazard pay like troops do on the front lines. They are filled with righteous zeal and propaganda that tells them everything that's wrong with the world is to be blamed on the illegals and the people who harbor them. Then they go out of the street to fight this invasion, and they're surrounded by Americans that scream at them and try and prevent them from carrying out their holy jihad against the illegals. In the minds of the ICE agents, those Americans that are standing in their way become the enemy. And the most recent enemy was Renee Good, who within minutes of becoming a casualty in this war, the president called her a terrorist, told a lot of lies about her. The vice president just the other day had a press conference where he called her names, blatantly, obviously lies. Let's watch that. Let's watch just for a few minutes the vice president lie about this casualty
This
of
is
war.
so much like the start of Nazi Germany with the military groups invading Jewish homes.
Absolutely it is. And that is why I keep referring to them as Gestapo. The ICE is the Gestapo. The Stephen Miller is a Nazi and the shadow president, and he is the chancellor. Honestly, Stephen Miller, chancellor.
It is, yes.
Let's hear what J.D. Vance, the vice president, has to say about this.
Will be joining us now.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And I want to echo some of what Carolyn said about.
Sorry about the clicking in the background. It is an actual issue in the room. Like there's some camera that's malfunctioning and it's exploding, and he's going to gripe about it too because everybody's upset about this. I'm sorry.
What we're doing to combat the rampant fraud that exists in our immigration system, thanks to failed politicians and thanks to people who allowed the American taxpayer to be taken advantage of for far too long. I think it's important to understand why this matters to the American people. I am a father of 3 young kids, a lot of kids, a lot of people in my generation. What is that going on there? Is that normal? Okay. CNN installed this broken camera just to throw me off my game, but it's not going to work.
Because, isn't it funny? CNN is the evil enemy of the state.
So here's the simple fact here. If you're a young parent struggling to afford childcare in the United States of America, there are programs that we have to make it easier for your kids to get in daycare, for your kids to get in preschool. Those programs should go to American citizens, not be defrauded by Somali immigrants and others. Make it hard for you.
Because they don't deserve it, you see. They're black people. They shouldn't get benefits from the government. The government is set up to help white people.
To get the access to the resources you need. But number 2, making it easier for people who shouldn't even be in this country to fleece the United States and our taxpayers to begin with. We have actually activated a major interagency task force to make it possible to get to the heart of this fraud. We have Department of Agriculture resources that are focused on SNAP fraud so that people who need food benefits can get them, but illegal aliens and other fraudsters don't.
Illegal
Quiet,
aliens.
piggy.
Yeah, exactly. Illegal aliens don't deserve good things. They don't get that stuff. There was a puppy dog under my feet, but he disappeared so fast. I was going to grab him. I'll try and grab him. There he is. No, he's leaving. Sorry. I tried to have a bubble break, but he was much too fast for me. He ran like under my toes and then out that way. Sorry. Come here, kid. No, he's not doing it. He's not doing it. No, sorry. No Bobo. Anyway, sorry. Let's continue. It's hard to stream when doggies are licking your toes.
We have over 1,500 subpoenaed to get to the heart of the fraud ring. We've done almost 100 indictments, mostly Somali immigrants, but also a few others. And of course, we're looking in with broad investigatory authority to a number of the instances of wrongdoing that we've seen in Minneapolis. But we also want to expand this.
And because one of those people who did the crime was, maybe even more than one, because some of those people who did the crimes are Somali, we must punish all of them. Collective punishment is a fascist idea. Some of the people who did a crime were Somali. That means all of the innocent Somalis need to be punished.
We know that the fraud isn't just happening in Minneapolis, it's also happening in states like Ohio. It's happening in states like California. And so what we're doing in order to help coordinate this remarkable interagency effort from the Trump administration, but also to make sure that we prosecute the bad guys and do it as swiftly and efficiently as possible, is we are creating a new Assistant Attorney General position who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud. Now,
some sort of extra legal guy. They're creating a new position where they're going to chase down fraud, and they're going to work directly for J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. They're not going to chase down all the fraud. No, they're only going to chase down illegal immigrant fraud. They're only going to chase down Democrat fraud.
Of course, that person's efforts will start and focus primarily in Minnesota, but it is going to be a nationwide effort because
they are at war with Minnesota.
Unfortunately, the American people have been defrauded in a very nationwide way. I want to thank a couple of people for their cooperation, in particular Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, first of all, for getting a lot of resources to Minneapolis to start to investigate and prosecute this fraud, really at an industrial scale. We've never seen fraud like this in the history of our country. Pam has been doing a great job to get the resources there to uncover it, but importantly, creating a job like this often takes months, sometimes even longer. When we realized that we needed this Associate Attorney General position, Pam got this person up and running in about a week. We're going to make the nomination hopefully in the next few days. We'll obviously let you guys know who that is when we do it. I've talked to Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who has promised me swift confirmation for this official, but this is the person who is going to make sure that we stop defrauding the American people. And here's one final thing I'll say about this. I've heard a lot of people say that we need a special counsel to investigate fraud in the United States of America. I actually agree, and that's what this position does. It has all the benefits, all the resources, all the authority of a special counsel, but with two crucial differences. Number one, it will be run out of the White House under the supervision of me and the President of the United States. And number two, it's actually constitutionally legitimate. As you guys may know, the special counsel statute has some major constitutional questions. When we get the bad guys, we want to make sure we get them permanently and they don't have some legal technicality they can get out of.
The fraud that he's talking about, I showed this one last time, but it belongs to the conservatives. The reason the fraud happened is because they cut oversight into how the government functions. Conservatives hate the government, and so they removed the people in the government who check for fraud, the people who determine whether or not you are saying a true thing. If you go to the government with the paperwork, someone at the government either looks at the paperwork and investigates to find out if it's correct, or they just pass it on and accept it. And if there are not enough people in the government to do the oversight, fraud increases. Conservatives increase fraud, and they always have, and they always will, which is intentional on their part. They know this. They know that cutting down on oversight creates more fraud. They like it. They want it. J.D. Vance wants more fraud so that he can cut more from the government.
Which is why we set it up as an associate attorney general. I'll take some questions, but I want to make just one final observation here. When I was actually walking out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well,
factually correct. Factually correct CNN statement. I mean, that's a headline. It's literally factually correct.
That's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say
you love the corporate media. Fox News is corporate media.
Attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day.
Chance Dance Vance is mad.
That headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile?
Didn't you guys think about his feelings? He's got PTSD from a car that dragged him 6 months ago. Won't you think about that ICE agent's feelings? Don't you silly liberals
Jonathan
feel
Ross
bad?
deserves jail time at least.
He needs to be investigated. Good policemen don't stand in front of cars. They know that isn't a good idea, but he's not a good policeman. He's an ICE agent. They are not taught properly to enforce the law.
What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in
nonsense, lies
in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws.
Did Trumpers vote for this? Did MAGA vote for this? Yes, they did. This is exactly what they wanted. This is exactly what conservatives wanted. They wanted the government to hurt the people they don't like. That's what they voted for him for, and that's what he promised, and that is what they are doing. The MAGA does not like black people, so ICE is hurting black people. MAGA does not like blue voters or Democrats or people in blue states, so ICE is hurting them too. This is exactly, he's accidentally right here. He's kind of right here. This is exactly what America voted for. Not happy about that. I wish they were smarter. I wish they weren't so angry, hateful, and vindictive. But most Americans are. Let's keep going.
The president stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. He's lying about trying this attack. To ram literally, this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis. Nobody is saying that, you fucking liar. Again, this is another conservative tactic. My position is that she was going about her day. She saw ICE. She stopped to record them. Now, that's fine. Did she hit him with the car? Yes. Was that an attack? No. She was trying to flee. She was fleeing. She was escaping the Gestapo. But he wrestles. He puts me. He says my position is that she's some innocent person who. Let's listen to him again. Nobody is saying what he is saying, asserting here. Who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her. You should be ashamed. Nobody is saying that. You're saying that we're saying that, but you're a liar. Ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I wanted to read a quote from Tim Walz earlier today. He said, when things looked bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held the line for the nation on July 3rd, 1863, and I think we may be in that moment now. Can you comment on his rhetoric and Mayor Jacob Frost?
See, so even Tim Walz is talking about war. He's talking about when Minnesota fought for the Union.
Right, and whether they want to see unrest in Minneapolis.
Well, that's very tough rhetoric from a guy who just quit because his fraudulent activities have been uncovered. Look, Tim Walz is a joke. His entire administration has been a joke. The idea that he's some sort of freedom fighter, he's not. He's a guy who has enabled fraud and maybe, in fact, has participated in fraud. That's what this new Assistant Attorney General position is going to find out. I don't care what Tim Walz says. I care about getting to the bottom of this fraud for the American people, and I care about enforcing the nation's immigration laws. That's what we're going to stay focused on.
Fraud. Donald Trump ignores fraud. He loves fraud. When criminals commit fraud and they're found guilty, if they give Donnie a nice handshake and tell him that he's great, he'll pardon them. He pardons fraudsters all the time. He pardoned the Chinese guy who was running a crypto scam that Donald's own children benefited from. That guy got pardoned. He was going to pay millions of dollars into our system, into our treasury, as recompense for the people he defrauded. And Donald said, no, you're pardoned. You don't have to pay all that money back. Donald Trump loves fraud. He does fraud. He was convicted of fraud. 34 counts in New York. He was convicted of fraud. And now he's campaigning against it? No. Horseshit. They like it when Republicans do fraud. Imagined Democrat fraud needs the full weight of the American government to shut it down. Real Republican fraud is ignored and whitewashed and pardoned. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, she lives there. She was driving by. She saw ICE. She stopped to record them, which is exactly what everybody should do. They are an unlawful, illegal Gestapo. You should record them. Everyone, when you see them, record them because they are killing people.
A related question here. I mean, Democrats have accused ICE of murder. They've said they're targeting Americans. They've told ICE to get the F out of Minnesota. This is going to stoke the fire against ICE agents, and you're talking about ICE agents right now and being concerned about them. What, if anything, is the administration going to do to make sure these folks are protected during these protests? But also, should DHS sort of revisit their procedures here? I mean, nobody wants to see an American killed. Are there changes that need to be made to make sure something like this doesn't happen again?
Look, first of all, of course, nobody wants an American citizen to be killed. This is absolutely a tragedy.
But
it's a tragedy of the making of the far left. They have radicalized a very small segment of the population, taught them that ICE agents are engaging in wide-scale violation of people's rights.
That's not some secret leftist talking point. That's not some brainwashing. The human beings who live in reality look out the fucking window and they see ICE agents hurting innocent people. This isn't a left-wing psyop where we bought 1 million little sock puppets on Twitter and we convinced all the good people that ICE is bad. Human beings with a brain look at ICE and say, hey, that's bad. Hey, that's wrong. I don't like that. And then they get on the damn TV, they get on the actual news, which is social media and not coming from the fucking White House, and they see that the White House is telling them the exact opposite of what they're seeing in reality. That's not a brainwashing. Man, you're doing the brainwashing right now, J.D. Vance, telling the human beings not to believe their lying eyes, but to believe you instead.
What our ICE officers are doing is deporting the millions of criminal aliens that were let in during the Biden administration. So
there are not millions of criminal aliens, and they were not all let in during Biden. It's, again, lies.
Number one, we have to say, as a matter of leadership, and I would appreciate if the Democrats would join me on this, let's be honest about the fact that we have way too many illegal aliens in this country.
No, we don't. They commit less crime than the natives. Illegal and legal migrants commit fewer crimes than the native population.
ICE officers should be supported in doing their job. You're trying to actually marshal the far left lunatic fringe to engage in doxing, to try to make it impossible for them to enforce the law, and in some cases actually to engage in acts of domestic terrorism against our law enforcement officers.
They shouldn't be wearing masks. When he says doxing, what he means is telling the people who is behind that mask. Jonathan Ross should not be allowed to wear a mask. That should be illegal. When he does his federal law enforcement, he should not be allowed to wear a mask. He should be wearing a badge, and he should have a number on it so that when he commits a crime, you can report it to the proper authorities. Police officers do not wear masks. They have a badge number. If one of them harms you, if one of them breaks the law, if one of them detains you illegally, you can find out what their name is, you can find out what their badge number is, and you can report them to the appropriate authorities. ICE doesn't have that because they are not law enforcement, because they are breaking the law, because they are immoral, unethical, and unnecessary.
When you talk about different plans, different protocols, different policies, I forget exactly how you asked the question. Here's the simple fact. What we're going to do is make it easier for the American People's Administration to enforce the American people's law. And that means that Democrats...
That's fake populism right there. That's the classic of fascism. We have the mandate of the people. The people all asked us for this. The people gave us this idea. We're doing it for them.
Have to stop rallying the mob against legitimate law enforcement operations. And that means that we are going to get tougher, and that's what this AAG position is about. We're going to get tougher at the people who are defrauding the United States by inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That
AEG that he's talking about is the new position that they just invented, so that they can have one particular person going after all of the people who stand in front of ICE. He's going to find out who you are, where you are. He's going to dox the people who stand in between ICE and record them. He's going to dox this lady who took this video.
Listen, have y'all not learned from the past couple of days? Have you not learned?
Learned what?
He's going to dox that lady and then try to find out where she lives and try and get her fired, try and bring charges against her. That's what the AEG is going to do. Because Pam Bondi doesn't have time. She's also very dumb. I don't know if you guys know Pam Bondi, but she's very, very dumb. She's not capable of doing this. She can barely put together legal briefs, like she can barely put together like the actual legal paperwork needed to go to trial. Pam Bondi is very, very dumb. She's only around because she's a slightly pretty lady, and Donald Trump likes pretty ladies. I'm not being sexist here. She's too stupid to do her job. Donald Trump keeps her around because he's a sexist and he likes cute girls. Don't cancel me.
That's one of the things that we're going to do. We've already started that work at the Department of Justice, but we're going to keep on doing it, and this new AAG position is going to kick that into high gear.
Vice President Vance, you just suggested that this woman who was killed, Renee Good, is part of a broader left-wing network. Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Well, it's one of the things we're going to have to figure out. But here's
He doesn't know. He's making shit up. He has no fucking idea. He made it up. Why would you ask him that? He just invented this out of nowhere. The vast left-wing conspiracy. There's no such thing. They live in reality. Who's in charge of reality? Who's responsible for giving her eyes? Okay? Who's responsible for giving Renee good eyes to see? Who's responsible for telling her what is good and what is evil? Who is responsible for teaching her how to drive? Who did that? Huh? Some left-wing agitators taught her to drive. They taught her how to use her phone. They taught her what is good and bad. And somehow, during all this education, she came to the conclusion that ICE is bad because they're hurting innocent people. Who's responsible for that? Who did that? He doesn't know, and he doesn't fucking care. He just needs the imaginary, evil leftist cabal to be blamed anytime he needs them to be.
the way that I put it. When somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent, or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick?
Who paid for the brick? Christ almighty. Who paid for that brick? Who bought
Some
the
needs
rocks?
to ask him how they are doing finding Antifa.
Who bought the rocks that you threw at them? Who bought those snowballs? Remember the other day they were throwing snowballs? Who taught these people to pack snow into small fist-sized balls and fling them through the air? Who did that? George Soros, probably. It was George Soros, folks. George Soros has been teaching the Antifa to create snowballs and throw them at the ICE agents. Who taught them to walk through the street and scream about the crimes that their government is committing? Who taught them this? Who paid for those bricks?
And who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity against our law enforcement officers? You see, just with this most recent terrible incident
God,
in
he's
Minneapolis, you see friends.
And he thinks you're dumb. He really does. He thinks you're a fucking idiot. And he thinks MAGA is stupid. MAGA, listen, MAGA, listen. He thinks you're fucking stupid. He thinks you'll believe this horse shit.
This woman's or other people who are eyewitnesses saying basically that she was there to engage in obstruction of a legitimate law enforcement operation. How did she?
It's not legitimate. Jonathan Vance, that's what I am telling you. That is what the people of America are telling you. This is not legitimate. We do not accept it. But you won't hear it because you're a fucking fascist.
How did she get there? How did she learn about this?
How did she learn to drive?
There's an entire network, and frankly, some of the media are participating in it, that is trying to incite violence against our law enforcement officers. It's ridiculous, it's preposterous, and part of our investigatory work is getting to the bottom of it. Who's funding it? Who's supporting it? Who's cheerleading it? And of course, if there's illegal activity related to that, we're going to get to the bottom of that and prosecute it where we can.
None of that exists. He has no evidence of any of those things, but he will imagine it and then fearmonger to the right.
President, thank you for taking questions today. Is there a risk with you describing her as a deranged leftist, talking about very specific facts of these events, when an investigation is just beginning? Are you preempting a thorough investigation by drawing such conclusions? And have you...
See, now that's an actual good question from the media. Hey, should you not call her a bunch of fucking names before we figure out what's going on? Should you not say that she's guilty before a fucking investigation happens, before a trial happens?
Received any information beyond the videos we've seen publicly about this individual, her specific acts, that has informed your point of view?
Well, first of all, the Department of Justice is going to investigate this. The Department of Homeland Security is already investigating this. But the simple fact is, what you see is what you get in this case. You have a woman who is trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation.
Not legitimate.
That. You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that.
She did not aim it at him. The videos clearly show her turning the wheel away from him. He jumped in front of it because he wanted to be hit, because he wanted to shoot her. Jonathan Ross got in front of that car intentionally because he wanted to. And when she hit him, it's because he wanted to be hit, because he wanted to shoot her. They are bad people. ICE cannot be trusted. They are bad people doing a bad job for bad reasons, put together by bad politicians who have bad brains.
I can believe that her death is a tragedy while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy of the
her
far
fault,
left who
you see.
has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe against our law enforcement officers. I think what is clear.
I mention the Boston Tea Party pretty often, but what was that? What was the Boston Tea Party? It was a bunch of citizens who were pissed off about their government and said that it wasn't legitimate. They did not want to pay a tax that they did not vote for, that they did not accept, that was not going to them. And they broke into private property and destroyed private property. Your country, America, sorry if you're not American, America was built on rebelling against illegal, unwanted, unacceptable laws. That is exactly what we are seeing here. Renee Good, in videotaping tape and recording ICE agents, is carrying on the American spirit. She is a patriot. She's doing exactly what somebody from the Boston Tea Party would have done. And then we rebelled against the unwanted, unwelcome, illegitimate government, and we killed a lot of their soldiers. That was a war. It was a civil war. At the time, we called it a revolution. But it was kind of a civil war. That is what we are looking at today. That is what we are seeing with this stuff. The states and the people are fighting against an illegitimate, unacceptable federal power.
Clearly happening here, and it's going to keep on happening unless the Democrats wake up and say, you know what, you don't have to agree with our immigration policies, you don't have to agree with what the president or the vice president believe about immigration enforcement, but why don't you take this to the ballot box? Why don't you vote? Why don't you organize? Instead, what some of them are doing
ballot box. If you don't like the way that the Nazis shoot your innocent civilians, take it to the ballot box, honestly. If you don't like the way that we are shooting your civilians, just vote differently. Vote better next time. Vote better next time. If you don't like the way we killed this woman, then go vote for us. Go vote for somebody else next time.
Encouraging people to get violent with our law enforcement officials. It's disgraceful, and it's got to stop.
Just to follow up on that question, and again, thank you for taking questions, Mr. Vice President. There's clearly a lot of emotion in Minnesota, across the country, over this incident. You're calling Renee Good a deranged leftist. There's been heated rhetoric that we've also heard from officials. What responsibility do you and the president have to diffuse some of the tension that we are seeing play out in Minnesota, bring down the temperature as this investigation is unfolding?
What we have a responsibility to do is to protect the people who are enforcing the law and protect the country writ large. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you deserve to have the people's laws enforced in the United States.
The people's laws. Again, this fake populism.
I'm not happy that this woman lost her life.
But
I'm not happy that this woman was there at a protest violating the law.
It wasn't a protest. She drove by, saw illegal, unacceptable, violent government action, and she started recording it. This wasn't a protest. She didn't plan this out.
Law by interfering with the law enforcement.
Again, he's lying to you.
I think that we can all recognize that the best way to turn down the temperature is to tell people to take their concerns about immigration policy to the ballot box.
If you don't like the way we're murdering people, vote for someone else next year.
Stop assaulting and stop inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's the best way to take down the temperature. And we're not going to give in to terrorism on this. And that's exactly what's happening. People trying to antagonize, to commit acts of violence. They throw bricks at them. Sometimes they shoot at them. Sometimes they dox them. Sometimes they go to their place of residence and harass their families. This is classic terrorism. And we can't.
Terrorism. This woman's a terrorist, according to him, according to the vice president of the country and the president and everyone involved in this administration. She is a terrorist. They already decided it. They don't need to investigate. They don't need to look at any more video. They don't need to have a trial. They don't need any of those things. The accusation is the only thing they care about. The accusation is all that matters. She is a terrorist to them, so she is a terrorist to them forever. They don't like what she did. They don't like what she stands for. They don't like where she lives. They don't like her political opinions. She is now the enemy of
Almost
the United
JD.
States.
That's what the people you're
Cannot
defending
say
now do.
that when a far left fringe is inciting violence against our brave law enforcement officials, that we're no longer going to enforce the law. That's rewarding the very
Our brave law enforcement officials who hide their faces and won't tell you what their name is and won't wear a badge with a number.
people who are engaged in this garbage. The actual reward that they just got is a new assistant attorney general who is going to prosecute and investigate this stuff even more aggressively than before.
More aggressively, extrajudicially, skipping the steps of the due process. See, this new assistant attorney general is going to skip steps that are normally part of the American justice system. He's going to skip right over all that stuff, and he's going to tell you what he thinks right away. Whoever they pick will be a hard right-wing fascist, and he will tell you the results of a trial before anything has ever happened. Minute 2 after someone gets shot at by ICE, he will tell you that they are a terrorist, that they are guilty. He won't investigate. He won't do the entire process of local police gathering evidence, talking to witnesses, putting together a case, putting together a warrant, taking that warrant to a judge, getting it signed, getting that person arrested, bringing them to a jail, putting them in, telling them what they're accused of, allowing them to have a attorney, allowing them to post bail, allowing them to return home until the trial, at which point we determine whether or not they're guilty. No, we're going to skip all of that shit because that's nerd shit. Conservatives do not have time for all that process. They're going to tell you who's guilty because they feel like it. They feel that Renee Good is guilty, so she is guilty. It is true that she is guilty because conservatives feel it. They feel like she's a terrorist, so she is. There is no law in America. We have only this. There is no law. There is no process that they will respect. There is only this chart. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking my question. So the head of Minnesota's investigations agency says that the U.S. Attorney's Office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency's access to the investigation. What is the precedent for that, and why shouldn't the Minnesota officials on the ground have access and evidence to work on this investigation?
And that's a true thing. Hey, guess what? The FBI shuts down Minnesota's investigation into ICE shooting and blocks access to the evidence. The federal government is stopping the state government from trying to figure out what happened to the resident of that state. We are in a civil war. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm not happy about it. I'm not thrilled about it. This is what's happening. The federal government, F in FBI stands for federal, is preventing the state from doing law enforcement because they're going to do it and they're going to tell you what the truth is. And the FBI, run by Kash Patel, the podcaster, is going to tell you whether or not she's guilty. And the Minnesota investigators don't like that. The state of Minnesota is in conflict with the federal government. And that happens in a normal society. It has happened 1,000 times. States disagree with the federal government. But what they normally do is bring that shit to court and have a judge decide it. Happens all the time. It's normal. It's part of the process. It's not going to happen anymore. These things will be decided by force because the Trump government loses in court. They always lose in court. The lower courts, the medium courts, the high courts, not the Supreme Court, but all the other courts make the Donald Trump administration lose because they don't hire intelligent lawyers. They hire Pam Bondi. They have 3 now lawyer Barbies that have been stripped of their they've been removed from their cases because they aren't actually doing lawyering. They're not lawyering properly. They're not putting together the paperwork. They're misspelling things. They're doing things wrong. They're not properly, what's the word? It was appointed. They have not been properly appointed. So they are not actually capable of doing the law. Trump loses in court every time. So they're going to avoid the courts. They're going to invent this new assistant attorney general who's going to dodge the courts and avoid all the courts and hold people responsible in whatever way they can that avoids all the process and all the courts. This is a way for them to avoid the courts. Trump and his friends lose in court all the time, so they're just not going to go to court anymore. They're just going to tell you who's guilty and then put them in jail. And if you want to sue, well, you can't. They won't let you. Gulags are coming because of this. We've already built some of the concentration camps. Don't forget that we're building concentration camps, folks. Everybody, we're building concentration camps. It's for people like Renee Good. And this assistant attorney general will lie about what happened, arrest people extrajudicially, and put them into a concentration camp, and will not give them the actual benefits of the law. They won't be receiving phone calls and due process and the proper legal recourse. They won't have access to lawyers. They won't have access to defense lawyers. They will be thrown into a gulag and held there until the federal government feels like it wants to let them out.
First of all, I wish the state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation.
He wants them to you won't let them. You won't let them investigate what happened.
The precedent here is
Lying
very
sack of
simple.
shit.
You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity.
Absolute immunity. Did you hear him? Absolute immunity. What is absolute immunity? It's not a thing. It's not written in any law document. He made it up. Conservatives invented it. I know all laws, if you really get down to it, are invented, and we wrote it down and put it together, and it's built upon ideas and ethics and based on shit like that. He made it up. There is nothing in American law about absolute immunity. Qualified immunity exists. Qualified immunity. That's a real thing. Normal cops have qualified immunity. It's a complex and hotly debated legal subject. The police, in doing their duty, cannot be prosecuted for breaking the laws. In a simplistic example, it is illegal for you to break the window of my car. But if a police officer sees a baby in the back of my car on a hot day, they can break that window, get the baby out, and not be prosecuted for breaking the window. See, it's very simplistic. If you call the police and say, hey, I'm being attacked, and they kick in your door to help you, to protect you, they can't be prosecuted for kicking in the door. That's usually illegal to kick in people's doors, but not if they're doing it in service of their actual duties. That's called qualified immunity. Now, it's been a very touchy subject over the past few years, especially with George Floyd and all the other things that are going on lately with police overstepping their bounds. But some people are suggesting that they overuse qualified immunity to get away with murder, to get away with harming people, to get away with writing tickets so that they can fund their own organization, being the police. There is arguments for when to use qualified immunity and when not to. It is a complicated and difficult subject. Absolute immunity does not exist. It's not a thing. He made it up. Conservatives invented it, just like they invented the unitary executive theory, just like they invented the Monroe Doctrine. I know we'll talk about the wars, all the wars that we're involved in right now, including our own Civil War. That's what we're talking about right now is our own Civil War. But all the other wars that we're involved in later, when they discuss the Monroe Doctrine, because it's an old word, it's an old phrase, people just think it's some sort of law. It's not. It's just like your opinion, man. The Monroe Doctrine is not a law on the books. It's not a treaty. It's not some sort of understood moral or ethical case. It's just someone's opinion. on how we ought to operate. There's nothing legitimate or legal about it. It's simply a phrase to describe your opinion, man. All right, let's keep going, though. We got to finish with this before I rant about the Don Roe doctrine.
He was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do
unnecessary
is preposterous.
Job. Illegal
the
job.
Unprecedented thing is the idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with absolute immunity. I've never seen anything.
That's exactly how the system is supposed to be set up. You fucking ghoul, you monster, you absolute revisionist piece of shit. He's rewriting all of American history there, that a local official can't possibly hold a federal official responsible. What kind of horseshit is that? He's rewriting all of American law. He is rewriting all of American law right now. Because, again, there is no law. There is no law in America any longer. This is it. This is all there is.
Thing like that, it would get tossed out by a judge. So what I'd like Minnesota to focus on is the real...
No, he knows that those things won't be tossed out by a judge. He knows that the minute they bring charges against Jonathan Ross, he will be arrested in the state and brought before a judge. And that judge will have to put together, it will sign the warrant, and then there will be an investigation, and there would be a trial. And he will not allow that. He will not allow that because he is an authoritarian. He is the authority. He cannot allow his guys, his workers, his agents to be brought up on state charges. That would challenge his authority. And he is an authoritarian, so the only thing that matters is his authority.
Issue that they're encouraging people. Minneapolis officials are encouraging people to commit violence against ICE officials. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop.
None of that happened. Nobody, no Minnesota official is telling the Minnesota people to harm ICE officials. No one said that. Ever. He's lying to you.
You said earlier that there's a left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and make it impossible for ICE officers to do their job. You told my colleague just now that there's an investigation going on into that network.
Yep. I'm sure Kash Patel is all over it.
So if everything that you say is true, how does being part of that network justify being shot?
Well, being part of the network doesn't justify being shot, but...
So the network. Now that he has said that the evil left-wing network exists, the reporter asks about that illegal left-wing network. It exists now. It exists now. It just does. The president says Vance says something insane. Reporter repeats it. They post about it on Twitter, and then a different reporter, right-wing reporter, asks him about the thing he said because it's now a fact. That's how conservatism works, man. That's how they create narratives. That's how they create these facts. The left-wing network that paid her and taught her how to drive and how to be an Antifa super soldier exists now because the president said it, Twitter said it, the Fox News reporter asked about it, and Fox News is going to report about it. It's real now. It exists. Dick Cheney used to play this fucking game. Dick Cheney used to leak information to the press, and then the press would run a story about it, and then he would go on the Sunday shows and talk about this thing that he leaked. As if it were some sort of, because he wanted to talk about it. He controlled what the news said. J.D. Vance is doing exactly the same thing. He's controlling what the news tells you. So now we're claiming that the local law enforcement is the one behind the violence. Yeah, absolutely they are. We are in a civil war, man. I think they are sometimes, but certainly not all the time with the federal agent shit civilian in the face. Yeah, the cops do not like what ICE is doing. And I'm going to show you, stick around for it, the sheriff of Philadelphia. I'm going to show you a video that she posted, and it kind of proves that we're in a civil war. So stick around for that. That's after J.D. Vance here.
But ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what...
She didn't ram him. She tried to escape. She was fleeing the illegal, illegitimate federal officers that are doing harm to innocent people.
justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way, but when you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is because she tried to ram somebody with her car, and that guy acted in self-defense.
She did not try to ram him with a car. She tried to evade. At worst, she tried to evade the ICE agents arresting her, because they are not a fucking legitimate force, if you ask me. They should not be on American streets. They should not be. Just like we should not have paid the stamp tax that caused the Boston Tea Party. We should not have accepted the laws and dictates that came down from the King of England. We should not have accepted what the King of England tried to push on the 13 colonies. And the people said we should not do this, and then they revolted. We are in a civil war.
That is why she lost her life, and that is the tragedy. Now, there may be other violations of the law and other penalties that are associated with those violations of the law. For example, if you are funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing that earns capital.
Now that's a whole nother story.
That's true. We are currently at war with the Emperor of America. The Senate doesn't do anything. The Senate is nothing. The Senate does nothing because the Senate is nothing. Chuck Schumer does nothing because he is nothing. He can't do anything. He gave all of his power up to the current, at the time, American emperor. The Senate has been doing that for the past 30 years. Ever since the 70s, more than 30 years, ever since the 70s, the Senate has been giving more and more and more and more power to the president because they do not want that power. That power means they have to make decisions, and those decisions make people mad at them. And when people are mad at them, they don't get paid, they don't get money, and it's very much harder to get elected. So they have given up all of their authority to the president. The president, Donald Trump, sensing this, recognizing this, understanding in his warped brain that all of the power in this country comes from the president, he ran for president. And by stoking the fear and anger and hatred and bigotry of some of the Americans, he has won again. And now he gets to throw that imperial power around. He gets to invade other countries. He gets to threaten Greenland. He gets to threaten Canada. He gets to threaten Mexico. He gets to attack Venezuela. He gets to attack the American people. He gets to attack Minnesota because he is the emperor, and you can't stop him. Hi, you got us. Thanks for coming in. I'm ranting and railing about J.D. Vance right now.
Punishment, but it should sure as hell earn you a few years in prison if you're funding the effort to try to assault our law enforcement officers.
Funding the effort to assault our law enforcement. No one is doing that. He's making that up. It's imaginary. He imagines it. He suspects, because he's got a baby brain, that some sort of evil left-wing cabal is paying people to fight against the ICE. It's nonsense. It's not real. It's imaginary. But you need to be afraid of it.
What is, I'm sorry, guys. What's going on here?
You're
You
making stuff up.
guys
That's
are
what's going on.
meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy...
She was not at a protest. She was recording a crime in progress.
defended himself when that happened. Next question.
The investigation is still ongoing.
I said next question.
I said next question. You see how defensive he's getting? I'm animated and excited, but I think this is actually a sign of desperation on his part. I think he is desperate to paint this exactly the way he needs it painted. There was another shooting in Portland the other day, but that one isn't as egregious as this one. So The president didn't talk too much about it. J.D. Vance did not come onto live television to talk about the shooting that happened in Portland.
Yeah, this should be agents of propaganda for JD.
Yeah, the more important the propaganda, the more attention it gets. J.D. Vance needs you to know this propaganda because it's damning. The actual reality is damning to him. So he is very desperate to make this case. Make the case that she is a left-wing radical monster who attacked someone with her car. I know that's a nonsense. You know that's nonsense, but he needs the people in middle America to accept it.
President, I mean, you presumably watched the video yourself. There's not the slightest doubt in your mind, having viewed it, that the victim, you still believe that she deliberately tried to ram him despite seeing this video?
Look, I don't know what is in a person's heart or in a person's head, and obviously we're not going to get the chance to ask this woman what was going on. What I am certain of is that she violated the law. What I'm certain of is that officer had every reason to think that he was under very serious threat for injury or in fact, his life. What I'm certain of is that she accelerated in a way where she ran into the guy. I don't know what was in her heart and what was in her head, but I know that she violated the law, and I know that officer was acting in self-defense. That's it.
The law is whatever he says it is. There is no law anymore.
It raises an interesting point, though. Look, if people want to say that we should have a legitimate debate about, what was she really doing, right? Was she panicking when she drove into this officer, or was she actually trying to ram him? That's a reasonable conversation.
That's what you should do in some sort of investigation. But he doesn't have time for investigation. Investigation is nerd shit. He does not have time for nerd shit, okay? He needs to tell you exactly what happened when he feels it. React now. He is reactionary.
What's not reasonable is for so many of you to plaster all over the media that this was an innocent woman and that the ICE agent committed murder, which is...
Was she convicted in a court of law? No? Then she's innocent. Has she been proven guilty in a court of law? No. Then she is innocent until proven guilty. She is innocent.
Is what many of you have said explicitly and some of you have said implicitly. That's what I have an objection to. The idea that this was not justified is absurd, and I think everybody knows it in their heart. Yeah.
Mr. Vice President,
in the green jacket.
Taking down the temperature, it seems like political violence is ratcheting up and riots could be around the corner. What steps does the administration have planned to try to unite America? Average people on both political sides are so tired of fighting with each other, and I think all the journalists in this room could agree with me that we don't want to be part of the problem. Do you have any words to unite America?
I know you don't want to be a part of the problem, and I think that's true of a lot of you. I'm not sure it's true for everybody, because the reporting over this has been one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen in media. I've never seen a case so misrepresented and misreported when you have a guy who was defending himself and is now being treated as some sort of federal assassin by so many of the people in this.
Nobody called him a federal assassin, but he is doing an unnecessary job violently for a bad reason.
Room. First of all, let me say about crime. You mentioned violence. One of the things we're proudest about is that you saw violent crime over the last year drop by 20%. Why is that drop by 20%? Is it because we're attacking our law enforcement officers, or is it because we in the administration are empowering our law enforcement officers to enforce the law? I think that's one of the ways you take down the temperature.
I'm not trying to defend the fascists here, but yeah, when cops are more likely to kill people, crime kind of does go down, but that doesn't make you free. It makes you under the boot. He's telling you that, hey, we put this boot on your neck, and now people aren't running around willy-nilly doing crime, you see? So you need more boots, more necks.
Make people feel more secure and safe in their person and property. That's why we care so much about protecting our law enforcement, because it accrues to the benefit of the entire national community. I think that we can absolutely talk about the ways in which, we can lower the temperature by discussing differences in a reasonable and rational way. Again, I'm happy to talk with any
And this is why he doesn't quite have the sauce that Trump has. Donald Trump doesn't debate in a reasonable, rational way. If Donald Trump were doing this press conference, and he kind of did when he tweeted about it, he just says, She was a monster. She was an evil liberal. She was a bad person. Haven't you seen what I did in 2020? 2020, Joe Biden, she's a bad person. She's helping the illegals, and she's fighting against ICE. She's a bad guy. She's evil. She's a terrorist. And then he moves the fuck on. He rambles for 5 minutes. He doesn't debate point for point, fact for fact, the way J.D. Vance does, which I think is kind of nerd shit. So he's a debate bro. Which I don't think the MAGA people appreciate quite as much as they do the ramble bro. Does that make sense? Am I being a crazy person here?
Congressional Democrat or any of you about our immigration policy, about why I think it's necessary, about why I think it's in the best interest of the country, about why the President of the United States was elected to actually enforce the border for the first time in at least 4 years. So here's the problem.
Enforce the border. Joe Biden deported shitloads of people. So did Obama. They lie to you about what they did. They lie to you about what happened in the past because they need that narrative. They need that story for the dullards in the middle of the country to comprehend what the hell's going on.
That's not the debate so many people are having. They are actively covering for people who are committing acts of violence against federal law enforcement. It is preposterous. The way to take down the temperature is to stop it. Have your debates about policy. Attack me. Attack the President of the United States. Don't attack our law enforcement officers. They are trying to do the job the American people demanded that they do.
The unnecessary, illegal, illegitimate job.
They are not policy actors. They are enforcing the law. They should be treated with a modicum of dignity and respect. And the fact that they're not is why incidents like yesterday happened. The one final point I'll make about this is, look, there's a part of me that feels very, very sad for this woman, not just because she lost her life, but because I think she is a victim of left-wing ideology. What young mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law? You've got to be a little brainwashed to get to that point to where you're willing not just to protest, that's fine, not peacefully protest, but throw your vehicle in front of legitimate law enforcement officers and drive your car into them. To get to that point, you have to be, I think, radicalized in a very, very sad way. I certainly wish that she hadn't got there. I know there's an ICE officer right now who very much wishes he was not put in the position where he had to fire a gun to
He stood in front of her car on purpose because he wanted to get hit. He wanted her to do it. He wanted to hurt her.
Defend his own life. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. What's your message, following up on that, what's your message to the leaders in Minnesota, the governor of Minnesota, the mayor?
And the rest of this is not very good. I watched some of it already. So we're moving on. What do we got? So the lesson that this guy is telling us, and let's double back. Let's read.
Shame on you.
Listen, have y'all not learned from the past couple of days?
Haven't you learned from the past couple of days that you are in a war? You are in the middle of a civil war, whether you like it or not. They are using the federal power that they have to harm people who did not vote for Donald Trump. They're using the federal power to harm the states that do not accept his fascist ideology, killing innocent immigrants and now killing innocent citizens. They're building concentration camps and ignoring the law. Normally, it's illegal to kill someone, but not during a war. And that is the justification that they will use to grant these ICE agents absolute immunity. J.D. Vance bastardized the idea of qualified immunity and invented a new term that has no basis in the law. Absolute immunity. You're going to hear that term a lot over the next couple of months as the Civil War heats up even further. So the lesson that this agent learned, but the woman filming him has not yet realized, not yet understood, is that both of them are in a civil war. Let's see. So we're going to go over here. What is this? And it continues. How many of these cases did ICE claim the vehicle was being used as a weapon? They keep saying that. I found 4 other cases, 3 of which definitely had problems with ICE claims. This may overlap with the cases you mentioned. I'm up to 4 other alleged vehicle ramming incidents that led to shootings by ICE agents. San Bernardino, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Maryland. They're all over the country in these blue areas, standing in front of cars, getting in the way of people trying to evade their own arrest. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. if they are trying to arrest you, people are going to run away. It's how cops have always existed. The regular police know that. The minute you try to arrest someone, most people try and run away. It's common human primate behavior. And if you stand in front of their car, they're going to hit you with it. Normal cops don't stand in front of cars. In fact, let's continue with this war idea. And where's the other one I wanted to watch? So yeah, J.D. Vance, we listened to him. What else did I want to talk about? Let's listen to the sheriff of Philadelphia. This is Philadelphia Sheriff, and she's going to say some things that are going to be awesome, and you're going to like them. So I hope you're here.
Good afternoon.
Oops.
I'm Rochelle Bilal, the sheriff for the city and county of Philadelphia. And I say her name, Renee Good.
Renee Good.
Renee Good.
Renee Good.
Renee Good.
Renee Good.
This should not have happened, but we're here today. Let know that law enforcement professionals, real ones, not the fake made up ICE, probably Trump's new army to attack citizens of the United States.
Fake made up Trump's army, his own personal army, attacking the citizens of the United States.
Did you hear what I said?
I heard you.
No law enforcement professional wears a mask.
Damn.
None. None.
See how she does have a badge and a name tag so that if she did something illegal, you could report her.
Those that come into our communities wearing a mask to commit crime, thank God for our district attorney, Larry Krasner, who say he's going to lock them up. And I'm saying now, we are not going to whisk you away for them to hide your identity.
What is she talking about? She's talking about the fact that ICE agents, when they get into a shooting, they run away. They flee the scene. The guy who shot Renee Good, right after he did that, he looked at he walked over to her car, he saw what he had done, and he did this. It's a hand sign saying, I need a ride. He was signaling to that other officer saying, I got to get out of here. I need to be away from here. And that's what they did in Portland, the Portland shooting. They just did a drive-by, possibly, in Portland. I don't know if you've heard about that. But we'll talk about the Portland here in just a sec. Let's finish with her. She's only a couple of minutes. But she's right. They're not going to hide inside their federal bunker, because that's what Jonathan Ross did. After Jonathan Ross killed Renee Good, he made the sign. He jumped in a car and he ran and hid inside a federal bunker so that local police could not arrest him. They could not investigate. They could not question him. He is in a federal facility that the local police are not allowed to enter because he's hiding. They commit crimes, then they hide behind the federal government.
Because when you do it there, you're getting arrested there. No whisk away for them to hide you. None of that here. None of that here. Law enforcement professionals do not shoot at moving vehicles. I'm not saying fleeing, because she wasn't fleeing. She was getting out of the way. Law enforcement professionals do not stand in front of moving vehicles invoking an action that is illegal. No, we don't. And so we stand here today with all those who stand against the made-up, fake, what you can call ICE, professional law enforcement. I don't call them none of that. I call them made-up, fake, wannabe law enforcement. Because what they do is against not only legal law, but the moral law. So I'm with the DA, and we will work with them. If any of them want to come in this city and commit a crime, you will not be able to hide. Nobody will whisk you off. You don't want this smoke, because we will bring it to you. And the fake, whatever they call them, because I can't say the name, but the criminal in the White House would not be able to keep you from going to jail.
Which criminal? She, see, you think maybe she did actually, she's not allowed to say the name, but since she didn't, we don't know which criminal in the White House she's talking about. There's so many.
Renee Good should be here today. And to her family, we are saying law enforcement professionals are not the ones here in this city that would do that. But here's the last thing that I will say. Law enforcement professionals around the country do their job, and we have been fighting for years to build that bridge between us and our communities. You have one negative nutcase that causes this problem, and now we all have to fight again to let people know law enforcement works with communities. These crimes would not be down if we didn't have communities work with us. Thank you.
And she lays out a good point there that it is difficult to trust people. You have to trust the people who are running your law enforcement. You have to trust the people with the guns. You have to trust the people who are allowed to dish out state-sponsored violence. Because that's what police are. If you are breaking the law, they are allowed to violently stop you. Sometimes that's just a pepper spray. Sometimes it's detaining you. Sometimes it's telling you to back off. Sometimes it's putting you in handcuffs. Sometimes it's a gun. They're violently allowed to stop you. And what we need to have a functioning society is trust in those institutions. Donald Trump erodes that trust. J.D. Vance erodes that trust. Stephen Miller, the Nazi, erodes that trust. ICE harming innocent people erodes that trust. Our society cannot stand if we cannot trust the states, trust the federal government to properly administer that violence in a very minimal way. Our country is falling apart, and it is because conservatives do not care about you. They do not like you. They do not want you. They do not respect you. They hate anyone who is not exactly like them and towing exactly their ideology. They hate anyone who isn't a straight white person. They hate anyone that they do not trust. They hate everyone that they do not trust. And the reason that they don't trust you is because of the skin color that you were born with, the sexual orientation you were born with, the way you dress makes them not trust you. The language you speak makes them not trust you. Conservatives are base creatures, not based, but like very low-level base ideas is their ideology, if they even have one. They are reactionaries. They see a thing and they react to it. If they react poorly to it, then it's illegal, it's dangerous, it needs to be shot. If they react positively to it, then it's good, it's right, it's proper, it's moral, it's ethical, and it's fine. Doesn't matter what it is. And that is the problem with their ideology, if you can call it that. I don't know that I think that conservatives don't have an ideology. They just have reactions. And then the well-paid grifters among them rebuild the ideology from behind, from the back, from reverse. They will lie to you, just like J.D. Vance did a few minutes ago, to tell you that this person's a terrorist, and they will, what's the word? Reverse engineer her to being a terrorist. And that's not trustworthy. That's bad faith. I don't like it. So that is and back to the theme of today's episode, that we are at war. Sheriff Rochelle Belisle is telling you that the city of Philadelphia will not accept ICE agents going there and causing chaos. The city is at odds, possibly violently, with the federal government. That is why I suggest that we are in a civil war. The state of Minnesota is possibly violently about to prevent the ICE agents from doing whatever they want to be doing. Governor Walz issues warning order to Minnesota National Guard after fatal ICE shooting. If the Minnesota National Guard prevents physically, maybe even violently, ICE agents from carrying out what they claim their duties are. Is that not a civil war? The state is using its violence to prevent violence from the federal government. That sounds like a civil war to me. Which is why I think that that's where we are. I think we are in a civil war now. Let's see, where are we at? What are we looking at? Let's look at the definition. What is a civil war? A war between opposing groups of citizens of the same country. Jonathan Ross is a citizen of America. And he shot and killed a citizen named Renee Good. Why? Because they were on opposing groups. J.D. Vance just talked for a few minutes about the opposing groups within America. The federal agents who are trying to do the American things for the American reasons. And the evil leftist groups that are trying to prevent the law enforcement from doing their jobs. There's a puppy dog. You see him? I'm going to grab the puppy dog. Don't move. Be quiet. Shh. Everybody be quiet. I'm going to grab a puppy dog. Hi, Bobo. Say hello to the people. Hi. Hello. This is Bobo. We're taking a bark break. A bark boy break. Bobo, the baby bark boy. You heard him earlier making noise downstairs. That's what he does. He just makes noise. Little gremlin. Bark, bark, bark. He loves to bark. And pee in the floor. He likes that too. But he looks like he's ready for a nap. We call them police nowadays, but the framers would definitely have called them troops. Yeah, exactly. They are troops. That's why I think that the Civil War is an acceptable term to describe what is happening now. The troops from the federal government who are not wearing a badge, are not identifiable, and are wearing a mask are deployed to a state they don't live in, to a neighborhood that is not theirs. They probably receive hazard pay when they do it. And they are there to perform a mission. It's all very militaristic. The federal government is sending these troops in to accomplish a goal, and the local population is fighting them, standing in their way, telling them that they're not welcome there. This is a civil war. It's low stakes at the moment, but they're going door to door. That's the other thing that I was thinking about. In the months after Hitler took power, SA and Gestapo agents went door to door looking for Hitler's enemies. They arrested socialist, communist, trade unionist leaders and others who had spoken out against the Nazi Party. Some were murdered. By the summer of 1933, the Nazi Party was the only legal political party in Germany. Nearly all organized opposition to the regime had been eliminated. Democracy was dead in Germany. ICE agents, just before they got into that standoff with Nicole Good, were going door to door, looking for immigrants. They're just going door to door. They're just going from one door to the next. Just, hey, you got any, knock, knock, knock. Hey, you got any immigrants in there? Hey, you got any Somalis in there? Hey, do you have any Democratic voters in there? Do you have any liberals in there? You got any leftists? Do you have any George Soros funded liberals? George Soros funded Antifa super soldiers? Any Antifa super soldiers in there? Going door to door. No warrant. Probably against the Fourth Amendment, I think is the Fourth Amendment is the search and seizures one. I'm pretty sure that's against the Fourth Amendment, but conservatives don't know what any amendment is except for the second one, and they don't even understand that one. And that is why that's why I am saying I don't think we were in a civil war a couple of weeks ago, but we are now. I think we are. I think we're in a civil war now. And so that's all for that subject. If you're in chat, if you're watching, hop in chat, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. Going over to the Discord if you want to leave links to cool stories. Yep, there we go. So if you want to go over to the Discord, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. You can debate people in there sometimes. You can start a fight. You can... there's only one rule on the Discord. Don't annoy me. That's all there is. You can post whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. You can be a hard right-wing super troll until you annoy me, in which case I will block you. But as long as you're not annoying me, that's the only thing, the only rule over in Waldo's Discord. Then let me see. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, yeah. So do that, or go on over to if you're watching on YouTube, click the thumbs up, click the bell button, click the subscribe button, hate someone in the chat, in the comment section, because the algorithm of a YouTube algorithm is powered by hatred. So if you just go in there and you hate anything, could be anything. You could hate Donald Trump, you can hate J.D. Vance, you can hate me, you can hate the chatters, you can hate Shinseto if you felt like it. And the YouTube algorithm will reward me for your hatred. It's a very weird system, and I'm not entirely sure how they built it that way, but it is true. You can go hate Star Wars, and they will benefit me, and it benefits me. It really does. So going into the comments, hate something, literally anything. You could hate fluorescent lights, hate mosquito bites, anything. It doesn't matter. You could hate watch the entire stream. You can hate thumbs up me. You can hate subscribe, and then that still benefits me. So yeah, that's the plug. What else did I want to talk about today? Here we go. Years ago, a billion years
Why
ago.
would you? I'm adorable.
Exactly. Why would you hate Shinseto? He is fantastic. There's nothing to hate there, but even if you did somehow hate him, you could do that in my YouTube comments and it would benefit me. That's the system. I didn't build the system. I'm just telling you how the damn thing works. Did OBS just drop? Don't do this to me, OBS. Don't do this to me. Okay. We're back. Twitter just, or no, I'm sorry, not Twitter. Twitch just glitched out on me, and I don't know why. Okay, anywho, we're going to continue as if Twitch were working properly. Years ago, I started this channel that nobody watches because I had an idea. I had a thought, a axiom, what other word could you use? I don't know. An idea, a simple declaration of a thought that I had never heard anyone else say before. And when I brought it up to people, they said, no, that's not right. That doesn't make any sense. I don't like that. Nobody's ever said that. Nobody says that, Waldo. And I've said it 1,000 times since then. You've probably heard me say it, that all politics are based on feelings. There were so many arguments about facts, and everybody was debate broing the fact of this and the fact of that. All politics are based on feelings. This is the realization. This was the enlightenment that I had, that whatever choice you have made is because of the feelings you have. And that's fine. That's good. That's right. I feel like it's bad to kill people. And so I support the politician who says it's illegal to kill people. You see? The feeling that I had is backed up by the feeling that I have leads to me creating an ethic. I think it's ethically wrong. It's morally incorrect. And so when a politician claims to embody that ethic, that moral, and pass laws that enforce my ethics and my morals, I appreciate it. Some people feel like marijuana is a dangerous, deadly drug. And so they have an ethic that good people don't smoke the ganja. And so they support a politician who supports that ethic. That's fine. That's how the system is supposed to work. And we're supposed to argue and feel differently about it. I don't feel like that's important. I don't feel like people who smoke weed are bad people. So I don't support their politician who pushes it into a law and then it becomes the rules of society. All politics are based on feelings. And Donald Trump proved me right. He has. He has proven me correct. Morality and military might and a sense of mischief. Key takeaways from Donald Trump's New York Times interview. The only thing that can stop him is his morality. Just days after launching an unprecedented operation in Venezuela to seize its president and effectively take control of his oil industry, Donald Trump sat down with the New York Times journalist for a wide-ranging interview that took in international law, Taiwan, Greenland, and weight loss drugs. I wanted this one right here. I don't need international law, Trump says, a power constrained only by my own morality. The President of the United States, the law and order candidate, the person who is in charge of executing the laws of America, says he does not need international law, and his power is only constrained by his morality, his feelings. What is morality if not a feeling? Donald Trump is dictating our society, our laws, our rules, our world based on his feelings. All politics are based on feelings, and I was right when I said it then. I'm right when I say it now. Everyone needs to be on board with this, and everyone needs to know. That is why I started the whole damn channel, so we would all know that politics are not based on facts. They're not based on governance. They're not based on solid empirical measurements. They are based on feelings. Donald Trump has said, I don't need international law, and his power is limited only by his own morality. In a new interview with the New York Times, Trump has said the only constraint on his power and his president is the U.S. is my own morality, my own mind, his feelings. It's the only thing that can stop me, Trump said. I'm not looking to hurt people. I do, he went on to concede, I do in regards to whether his administration needed to adhere to international laws, but said it depends on what your definition of international law is. The laws are written and he does not need them. He does not care about them. It depends on what your definition of international law is. Trump, who spoke to the newspaper as his administration looks into a range of options to attempt to gain control of Greenland, also emphasized the importance of ownership. Ownership is very important, Trump said, because that's what I feel is psychologically needed for success. Feelings, psychologically needed for success. Ownership. Does ownership exist? No, it's a mental construct. Ownership is a thought process. Ownership does not exist on the periodic table. Ownership is not a law of physics. Sir Isaac Newton didn't pen the third law of ownership. It is a mental construct that humans invented with our feelings, with our minds, with our intuition, with our opinions. Psychologically needed for success. I think that ownership gives you a thing that you can't do with, you're talking about a lease or a treaty. Ownership gives you more authority than a lease or a treaty, is what he's trying to tell you. Ownership gives you things and elements that you can't get from just signing a document. Ownership is psychologically important for him because he wants to own people. He wants to own the land. He wants to own the country. He doesn't just administer over America. He owns it. It's his. He is an emperor, and we are in a civil war against him, whether you like it or not. He is at war with you, whether you acknowledge it or not. He owns this country, whether you accept it or not. He owns Greenland already in his mind, whether they accept it or not. He owns Venezuela. He is the warlord of Venezuela. Is there any way to argue with that? What is a warlord? This person who violently owns the area. The person who uses their military might to accomplish their goals. And his goals are to sell oil and keep the money. Donald Trump is the warlord of Venezuela, and very soon he will become the warlord of Greenland. He wants to be the warlord of Greenland. He wants to be the warlord of Canada and Mexico and everything on the left side of the map, on the left side of the globe. Everything from Greenland through Canada, Alaska, America, South America, all the way down to the southern tip of South America. He owns all of it. In his mind, he is the owner of all those things. You can disagree with him, and if you disagree with him loud enough, he might shoot you. He might send American troops to harm you if you disagree with him. If you don't do the things that he tells you to do, depending on how important and how valuable you are, he will use the American military to harm you, to hurt you, to take you out of office, to kick you out and put you on a trial. Trump also dismissed concerns that his decision to oust Nicolas Maduro as Venezuela's president would set a precedent for potential Chinese takeover of Taiwan or Russia's attempt to control Ukraine. Because he's a baby brain, he knows that once the American people stop paying attention to Taiwan and Ukraine, that those countries can do whatever they want. He has carved the globe into four pieces, really, into four pieces. He has carved the globe into four pieces. The left side, which is Greenland all the way down to South America, belongs to him. All of Europe belongs to Vladimir Putin. All of Asia belongs to Xi in China. And Africa is the fourth piece, but nobody owns that, and it is more like the playground that he is going to use over the next couple of decades. What you will see is people fighting, bloody, dangerous, knock down, drag out, kill thousands of civilians fights in Africa over resources. And Donald Trump loves that idea. He loves the idea of sending 1,000 troops into Zimbabwe and stealing all their stuff and killing a bunch of their people. And if he happens to kill a bunch of Chinese soldiers who were also there, that's fine. Because what were the Chinese soldiers doing there? They were going there to secure those resources as well. This is just going to be Africa will simply be the playpen for global dictators like Donald Trump, like Putin, like Xi. That is the new world order that is coming. Donald Trump he's mentioned the Monroe Doctrine or the Donroe Doctrine, which is just like his opinion. It's not an actual law. I talked about that earlier, but it's not a law. It's not something that like the Congress passed. It's just an imaginary feeling that conservative one guy had. Here's the Monroe Doctrine. This is kind of a meme. It's a political cartoon, but it is also exactly everything that the Monroe Doctrine is. This photo, this picture, worth 1,000 words, is telling you what the Monroe Doctrine is. The American president owns everything from Alaska to South America and now Greenland, because that's right behind him. If you look behind his left hand there, Greenland is there. The American president simply owns it. He gets it. It's his to do with as he pleases. If he allows any South American, if he allows Brazil to do a thing, anything, well, actually, I'm putting it the wrong way. If Brazil does a thing, that's because Donald allowed it. That's because the American president allowed that thing to happen. If Brazil does a thing and Donald doesn't like it, he will stop them from doing that thing. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what international law says. Doesn't matter what his law says. Doesn't matter what American law says. Doesn't matter what Brazil's law says. Doesn't matter what Brazilian people say. Doesn't matter what the American people say. If Donald doesn't like what Brazil is doing, he will stop it. There is no law any longer. And Donald Trump is telling you that there is no law any longer. He is telling you that this chart is all that matters. He is telling you that he is not constrained by law. He is not constrained by law. International law makes no difference to him. He said that he does not believe that Chinese President Xi Jinping would seize control of Taiwan, telling the New York Times that's up to him what he's going to do. But, you know, I've expressed to him that I would be very unhappy if he did that, and I don't think that he'll do it. I hope he doesn't. He may do it after we have a different president, but I don't think he's going to do it with me as president. Again, Donald Trump is a huge liar. So why does Donald Trump and you and me care about Taiwan? He only gives a shit because that's where microchips come from. What is he doing with American tech people? He's trying to build factories in America. If it weren't for those microchips, Donald Trump would totally allow China to take Taiwan. He would. He doesn't care. He doesn't actually give a shit about anything that's not in that stupid cartoon. Anything that is outside of this little drawing here, he doesn't give a fuck about. He doesn't give a shit about treaties we made with Ukraine in the 80s. He didn't sign that treaty. He wasn't in charge. He doesn't have to respect it. He doesn't give a shit about Taiwan. He doesn't give a damn what America did to help Taiwan break away from China back in the 70s and 80s. He doesn't give a shit. He wasn't there. He wasn't in charge. Not his game. He's playing his own game. So when conservatives discuss the Monroe Doctrine, just know that it's not a law. It's not a thing that passed the Congress. It's not a part of the Constitution. It's just one guy's fucking opinion that he should own all of North and South America. And that the United States president ought to be in charge of all of that shit. Because they have baby brains. They have very small, non-global, current brains. This almost makes sense when there is no internet, when there is no telephone, and you have to take a fucking boat for 3 weeks just to get down to the South America. Okay? That almost makes sense. It matters more in the 19th century who your neighbors are than it does today. I can be in another country within a couple hours on a plane. This is outdated, but conservatives are backward-facing, right-wing. Conservatives do face backward. They are driving in the car, looking out the rear window. Conservatism is a backward-facing ideology. They want everything to be like it was in the past. They want everything to be like it was when they were growing up. They see Leave It to Beaver as a documentary, and they think that that's what the world was, and that the evil feminist liberals took that away from you. They think that the Monroe Doctrine is a good idea because they can see those places. They could go to that place, and they need it to be in charge. They need to be in charge of all the land that they surveil. Everything that's near them needs to be good and follow their laws so that they are the most comfortable. They care a little bit less about Taiwan because Taiwan's filled with people that they don't know and don't speak the language and they have nothing to do with. So it doesn't matter if China steals it. The Monroe Doctrine would lead to China stealing Taiwan. It would. It would lead to Russia taking all of Ukraine. The Monroe Doctrine suggests that you get to control your enemy, not your enemies, but your neighbors, because you are the strongest. You get to control what your neighbors do, what your neighbors say, what your neighbors think, and if they start getting uppity, you get to militarily stomp them down. That is what Russia will do. They will say, we're just following the Monroe Doctrine when they kill Ukrainians. China will say, we're just following the Monroe Doctrine when they kill Taiwanese people. That is what Donald Trump is bringing to you because he does not know what the law is. He does not know what the Monroe Doctrine is. He just knows it's a cool catchphrase, and so he says it. He's just memeing. Man, he's just memeing. That's all there is to it. He doesn't know what it is. He's never seen this cartoon. And even if he did, He would love it. He'd be like, look at this badass. Look at this amazing, super cool guy who owns all of this shit. He is a titan. He's bigger and more powerful than all the other men in the world. This is what I am. I, Donald Trump, am this man. I get to stand on top of all of these things and own them because I am important. I am the best boy. I am the most valuable, most powerful, most intelligent, smartest, biggest dick beast you've ever seen in your entire life. I am the storm. He thinks he is this, and he wants it because he likes it, because he wants authoritarian, because he is an authoritarian. This is an authoritarian cartoon. This is an authoritarian person doing authoritarianism. And Donnie is at his heart an authoritarian. Is he a fascist? I've claimed him to be before in the past, but I think fascism actually does need you to have an ethos, have a belief in what you're doing, belief in the ethno-nationalism. Donnie doesn't, I don't think he has a belief in ethno-nationalism. He simply does what's best for him and increases his authority, which means people who disagree with him have to get kicked out of the country. And most of the people that disagree with him are leftists, liberals, and brown people. So he wants them out of the country. I don't think, is he a racist? Yes. But that's more from ignorance rather than willing racism, the way Stephen Miller is willingly racist. Like, he knows that he's a racist and he seeks out that information to prove that his feelings are legitimate. Donald Trump feels strongly when he sees this image, so he tries to make it happen. His politics are based on his feelings. Stephen Miller feels disgust when he sees black people, brown people, and gay people. So he seeks out information that benefits and backs up his worldview. Charlie Kirk was disgusted by gay people, by trans people. So he sought out facts and information that backed up his feelings. And I love that he has proven me correct. This is just Waldo taking a victory lap. His own morality is what he bases all of things on, not international law. I appreciate you. If you're watching this video, I appreciate you. Thank you for helping me to congratulate myself and pat myself on the back, really, honestly. My basic guiding principle has been proven correct again. And that gives me hope. I don't get a whole lot of views on a lot of my recent videos, especially for the last month. I'm in the 20s and 30s on views, which I was in the hundreds beforehand. I blame YouTube. But on occasion, I think, well, do I really want to continue? Do I want to keep making videos? Do I want to keep putting all this effort and this time into things that nobody sees? I know you guys are seeing it, Malachi, Shinsinto, Valor, any of it. I know you guys are here and you're watching and you're paying attention, and I like it, and that's good. So I'm going to continue because I wasn't even thinking about quitting, but sometimes you doubt. You're like, does anybody even watch it? Does anybody even pay attention? Is it even doing anything? Are we doing anything? And when I see this proving my entire thesis was correct, it makes me want to continue. So this has given me motivation, is what I suppose this is. The Donald Trump has just motivated me to continue saying and doing what I've been doing. So that is it for me today. I appreciate everybody who's here. Thanks you very much for coming in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the subs and the buttons and the go on to the YouTube, press any button. Doesn't matter which one. I'm about done for today. I'm going to go eat some lunch. I appreciate everyone's here. Thank you very much. There is a Bobo who wants to say goodbye to you. Bobo is here to say goodbye. Goodbye. Bobo, tell the people goodbye. Say goodbye. He's sniffing me. Whoa. He didn't like that. Okay. Bye. Bobo says goodbye. Bye-bye, Bobo. I'll be back on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. PST, West Coast time, unless the Gestapo kicks in my door and drags me out to the